pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated. Sometimes it takes a little while. I know. Where you go?
And it looks like we have a couple members absent. Anybody on the screen? I
No,
don't see anybody on the screen here.
just Marcus.
Okay, could you give us a roll call?
Powell. Johnson,
Here.
Jones. Long,
Here.
Maynard,
Here.
Monroe,
Here.
Hartman.
Here. Did you hear from any of the missing members and polling members?
Ron, when I called, Ron is not able to move around very well. He's going to the doctor tomorrow. And Lois told me she was going to be here.
So she may still come. All right then. With just four of us, for any motion to pass, it would be unanimous vote by you four. Chairman does not vote. I just want to put that out there so everybody understands the rules. Okay. We have a reading of the minutes. Ryan?
Minutes to the Grant County Area Board of Zoning Appeals for May 3rd, 2021. Public hearing of the Grant County Board of Zoning Appeals was held on Monday, May 3rd, 2021, at 6 p.m. on first floor of the county office complex at 401 South Adams Street, Marion, Indiana. Following members were present: Ed Hartman, Chip Long, Bob Monroe, Bill Johnson, Lewis Jones, Ron Howe, and Rex Maynard were present via phone. Staff present: Brian Watt, Executive Director; Kyle Persinger, Attorney for Area Plan; Brenda Harrison, Executive Administrative Assistant; Aaron Ellsworth, Building Inspector; and Nicole Bailey, Code Enforcement Officer. Started, Ed brought the meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance, followed by roll call. We have approval of minutes. Mr. Hartman asked Brenda Harrison to read the minutes for April 5th, 2021. The minutes from April 5th, 2021 were approved as submitted after correction was made. Motion made by Lois Jones and Rex Maynard seconded. Members Chip Long, Rex Maynard, Lois Jones, Ron Howe, Bob Monroe, and Bill Johnson voted yes. For finding the facts, 4.1, April 5th, 2021, the finding of facts was skipped until the end of the meeting. Mr. Hartman asked that the address for Mr. Hostetler be corrected. No vote was taken at this time. Public hearing, docket 04 BZA V-21 for Matthew and Christina Thorne. The address 1390 East 500 South Upland in the zoning district for residential suburban RS. Legal description being 5 acres more or less, and located in the southwest border of section 35 of the township. The request was to allow an accessory building to be 12 feet from the west property line instead of the required 24. Mr. Thorne represented the petition and answered questions from the board. Public hearing was closed. We had a motion, Lois Jones, motion to approve docket number 04 BZA V-21. Bill Johnson seconded. Ron Howe, Bill Johnson, Lois Jones, Chip Long, Rex Maynard, and Bob Monroe voted yes. Motion carried. We had an open public forum. There was no one from the public present to speak. The director's report, Mr. Mott gave an update on the sign/zoning issue currently being monitored in Upland by the Area Plan Office. Mr. Mott stated that an email was sent to the inhabitants of the Ivanhoe Plaza, John Bonham, Town Board President, Jonathan Perez, Upland Town Manager, on April 19, 2021. As of the time of the BZA meeting, he has received no response. Mr. Gallant stated he would keep the board updated. Legal report, Mr. Persinger. Mr. Persinger discussed a new statute that was recently passed that would allow permanent video and audio for board meetings / participation. Mr. Persinger stated that certain rule and parameters will need to be adopted by local jurisdictions governing body. Statute will require a board member to be seen and heard for voting, but participation is allowable by phone, but not voting unless member can be seen and heard by video. Mr. Persinger stated he will keep us updated as there will be more to come. Next was adjournment. No other business. The meeting was adjourned at 6:25 p.m.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, does anyone on board have any corrections for the minutes?
I'll make the motion, we step from that there. Second.
Brenda, would you give us a roll call?
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yeah.
Monroe,
Yes.
Motion passed. Findings of facts submitted. They're all correct. Right. And new business. Public hearing for docket 05 BZA V-21. Mr. Steve Overman, would you come to the podium, please? Okay, sir, if you would sign your name and address on the register there. And Ryan, would you introduce this docket?
Okay. What we have on our docket here is Mr. Overman has placed a Connex box in his yard. I went out and took pictures. We had discussions with Mr. Overman. What we're looking for is basically this is considered temporary mobile type storage building, which our ordinance allows for up to 6 months use. He's wanting to make it permanent. One of the things that he's doing is he has a barn and a yard barn out there, getting some moisture and that sort of stuff into the barn. So one of the things he's wanting to use the storage building for, he's got some classic cars that he wants to store in there in a weather type situation. As we've kind of discussed prior to the meeting, we need to classify these as far as what we're going to say a Connex box is. It is actually a shipping container considered by us as being mobile. Question to you, variance is to allow him permanent, and do we see it as accessory building or mobile structure?
Okay, sir. Would you give us your opinion on this and why you would like this
Well,
petition passed?
I tore down 3 buildings because couldn't have that money to repair them. Saved enough to get this thing. At least then I could get my hot rod Model A in something where the ice and moisture and stuff don't. My mom died and stepdad, his mom and dad passed away and just recently. Stuff that have to store until the kids go through it.
Okay. So this box, it is just sitting on the concrete gravel pad. Is that correct?
I had all the topsoil and stuff taken. And a compact, big heavy stone, and then they put smaller stuff that. Set up out.
Yeah, when I drove by, I noticed it was above grade.
Yeah, I know pictures of it, there's water around, but not that too yet.
Would you be open to the possibility of having this turned down to make it a permanent structure?
I was hoping to do in the next couple of years, is put a roof over it, sides, tractor and stuff under out too, so that would, at that point, they would consider it be just a money situation.
Yeah, what he's talking about is with permanent structure, the permanent foundation, you would have to connect to it and actually have footing that reaches a 30-inch frost depth.
I don't know how to do that now, it's sitting there.
We can talk about ways to get it down. There's manufacturing, some
I
different
can
stuff that
see
we
putting
can.
screw anchors
Yeah.
there, like you put for straps on a truck.
So that's, what.
Right on the corners, there's a hole there that you could use to anchor it.
Yeah,
And then, like Ryan was saying, a drill type anchor, go down in there and make it, more
yeah,
of a permanent structure.
it'd be, have money in it. It's income.
So it won't sit on a concrete platform?
Well, it's got, because of its size, anything over 200 square foot has to have a permanent foundation, which means it has to reach frost depths. So this is 40-foot long. and-
8 feet wide.
Yeah, so I mean, it's 400 and some square foot, so it would have to be, we would have to have it, he's got it on a pad now. So we're not worried about the cement, but we need it now. So the manufacturing screws can actually run through there down into the, down as a foundation. So if it's allowed to be permanent, that's what we look,
How deep do those go, Ron?
they just have to reach 30. There's you can 36, 48. Yeah, because the frost lines change throughout each region.
It's supposed to get down 36 inches and sometimes the feed them. So yeah, you safely.
So what happens once he puts the roof on it? What does that come back?
As far as now,
As far as him putting the roof on there,
well, he's talking not on top of it. He's talking about coming off the side of it.
I think it looks like a building.
More like a carport off the side to park.
Okay.
But that's down the line.
So how are you protecting the inside if you don't top?
It's got, no,
It's got,
It doesn't,
yeah, I mean, it's rodent proof
yeah, it's a shipping container.
inside it. Shut the doors, you can't see anything.
You're thinking dumpster.
yeah, I want to make sure you was protecting what you want to protect there.
I am.
Could you commit to getting that done in 6 months?
I don't know whether I'll have financial.
I don't think it's as much as you think. It's not hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
I'm limited. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done without medicine for 6 months because I do what I.
Yes.
Brian, if this is not a law, one way or the other, does it look like we're going to have a law? Does anybody care? Does anybody know?
Well, that's kind of one of my questions for you guys. What are we going to consider?
So we can consider it portable or permanent. That's what you're after here?
Yeah, I mean, if this is an accessory building, it's one thing. If it's a mobile structure, he would need a variance to keep it more than 6 months.
I think what Bill's saying is, should we have some kind of ordinance or law before this thing gets started?
Well, it's already started, though. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
And I've written some stuff up to discuss later on in our meeting, but this is common in most jurisdictions. We spoke with probably at least 60 other jurisdictions, and everyone's the same way. They're looking for someone to do something.
How are they handling it now?
They're not. They're getting,
So
they're
waiting
getting
for
put
somebody
in,
like this,
and it's depending on what jurisdiction and who's doing it.
well, they must be okay with it. So, I mean, if they're not,
They don't have anything to go by.
Well, let me end by saying, your box looks much better than a bus or a semi or
Right.
whatever. And I'm
I'm
saying,
trying to make my place look as good as.
yeah, you got a nice looking place, but that's like I said. I'd like to make a motion if we're done.
Okay, and you're saying above a 200 square foot shed, it has to be anchored down?
Any structure that is 200 square foot or more is required to have a permanent foundation. Our ordinance says anything from 120 to 200 has to be tied down.
Okay, so it doesn't quite fit that either.
So his anchoring, what he'll do is he will put runners through the hole now, tie down to the screws.
But is that considered a foundation then? We would not,
What we've got, it would be allowed.
okay.
well, Mr. Overman and his family have always lived out there, and they've always been responsible people. And so I don't see this as a major issue.
You're my neighbor. aren't you?
Yeah. And your brother's right next door to you.
He's south of
Yeah.
me.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Overman. Be seated. Is there anyone here in opposition that would like to participate here? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. So for discussion among the board members.
I have one question, Brian.
Mhm.
How many tie downs or hurricane structures is that required? Every so many feet?
We would probably look at it on a lot of the bigger yard barns. They'll do four corners and in the middle. This being what it is, we'll probably do four corners and then probably every 10.
Every what?
10. Probably 40 each side. I mean, it's not a huge concern about that thing flying. This is being solid steel,
Would be if it was flying, so.
so.
So if he was estimating each one of those,
We're looking more as a tie down.
The screw or tie down?
Well, I mean, we're looking at it as far as
Oh,
being,
okay, there are tie downs.
yeah,
but you'd have 8 of them.
right. We would just figure out probably 8.
And per tie down, an average cost.
Yeah, eight tie down screws, and then they take a cable through.
I understand it. I'm looking for a cost, an estimated cost.
I'd have to look, but I mean, it's not gonna be $1,000. They're not that expensive.
Okay.
I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not.
$1,000 to somebody, you know.
Well, I know. And right now, it's the way lumber and stuff's going. Bucks don't hardly buy enough.
Are there any other questions?
I just think we need to have some sort of ordinance or something before we get started with this.
Who would pass an ordinance on this right now? Who could pass an ordinance? Back to, county council,
Commissioner.
commissioners.
We'd have to put it together, present it to townships.
And
Does
then
the
again,
board want to make a motion to table this until they've had time to consider an ordinance?
Well, then you could do. On our recommendation,
Well, we would find out if we made that motion. but I'm not saying they will or they won't. Say no.
but it sounds like they want us to make that decision here. That's what it sounds like when you're
Well,
saying that to us.
We want to have a discussion. Right now, we would consider it a mobile container. It's going to allow it for 6 months. But they're popping up and popping.
But the continuance of, like you said, popping up and popping up with no ordinance, you're gonna have a lot of this stuff going on, and there's nothing, you'll be able to say that they can't be popping up, continue to pop up.
Yeah, but I don't think it's our job.
Right.
I don't think it's our job. Give them a variance, yes or no. I don't think we can write.
In this case, it's considered mobile or mobile shipping container, basically, that is allowed for 6 months. He wants to have it permanent. So that's why we're here.
And the ordinance be written up in 6 months? I'm sorry?
I got my stuff right here.
Oh. So you present what you have,
Well, I'd get it to Kyle to start getting through, and it'd be in addition to, we would put it in our ordinance, in the accessory structures, basically added to the accessory structures for mobile or compact stack boxes. But again, as it is right now, it's considered mobile, and only 6 months temporary. So that's why we brought him.
yeah, that's the easy one.
well, just because he wants it permanent, if we approved that, that doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't have to come forward also. Does it? I mean, we have options. We can say yay or nay to anybody.
Right.
Well, there's some that I would say yes, and there's some I'd say no to, depending on.
And there becomes that concern because we don't have it in our ordinance. It could be in the middle of Jonesboro, next door, 10 foot off your property. And they have to come in for a variance.
You'd have to come in and get it.
Right.
And if we had the mayor over there say, hey, guys, better take a good look at this one.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. But when you got somebody that's following the rules and regulations for the most part, I don't see why they should have to be stymied or held back.
Because he did a good job after putting it down.
Sure.
He's always been like that. So
But like see what Brian's saying too, we can be bitten later on.
well,
That's part of the ordinance. And that would be part of doing an ordinance later on. As we said right here, it's temporary. It can be there for 6 months.
Tyler, where do you stand?
It's very easy, your guys' decision, I mean, as Ryan said, I mean, an ordinance has to start either through the area planning commission or through an entity or the commissioners, I mean, you guys, the board of zoning appeals, this is your baby, so this is
But I
your
mean,
baby.
we could theoretically okay this.
Yeah.
And in the same meeting here, in a few minutes, say, okay, we want to make a motion to go after this.
Yeah.
As an ordinance.
And that would just be, I mean, there's no standing behind that. That's just your guys' wishes. You got 3 options. Vote yes to grant it, deny it, or table it, I mean, that's basically pretty, I mean, can you theoretically say, we wish we weren't in this, we wish this was solved, we really make our feelings known that we'd like to see the commissioners take this up as an ordinance, and you can even say, we'd rather see them allowed or not allowed, That's your prerogative.
I don't want to say to be on the safe side, but I think following what you have now, is the 6 months. Think you can come up with something, you got meetings to kind of it up. We'll say yay or nay to, but, right now, to be on the right side is to follow your ordinance that you have now for 6 months.
Want to make that a motion?
To follow it as a temporary for 6 months.
I guess I would make that motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
No.
You just seconded.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll change it back to you.
You're allowed to do it, but it's a little unusual.
Okay, I'll try.
Long,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yeah.
Monroe,
Yes.
Motion passed. So in 6 months, sir, we hope to have an ordinance passed that we can go by and tell you what the next step is.
I can't put my name more stuff in.
Okay,
I didn't hear what he said.
you can't put more stuff in. Well, if you put your stuff in it, yes, you can use it as a temporary structure right now.
We'll keep in touch.
We need to make a motion to come up with an ordinance.
Well, Ryan's gonna work on it. Gotta follow up with him.
I've got it. It's just a matter of.
Motion. Do we need a motion? Here.
Well, okay.
That's what I'm.
We could have,
Just to cover.
put it on the record. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we, let Ryan, just come up with an ordinance.
Oh, he said he had it right there.
Not been approved yet.
Land use table, the whole nine yards. Which, if this, kind of what I did for this, I found a couple of different places that went through this very same thing, and I had one of them out of Colorado. They actually went to address it as a board. Actually had a town meeting, discussed it, made a second version of it, at another town meeting, finally came up with a final. So I've modeled a lot of it off of that and kind of had it here and there. Land use table that I put together would allow it in agricultural, would allow it in industrial, typical area, but it would also allow it in RS with special exception, which would bring it in front of us again, kind of our rural situations. That's, I'll give it to him.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
What is the motion?
What is the motion?
We're going to remove one with the ordinance.
Yeah. Let Ryan move on.
We have a roll call, Brenda.
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yeah.
Monroe.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Okay, move on to docket 06 BZA B-21. Mr. Rob Holloway, will you come to the podium, please? And Brian, would you introduce the petition?
Mr. Holloway's petition, what he's proposing to do is he wants to build a garage basically on the property line 0 foot off. If you're looking at your pictures, we got pictures of every side. So basically where the existing chain link fence is will be the front of the garage. Things that I noted in here was even with the boundaries that we've got, or the right of ways that we've got on Elevate, the lines that go around, there's still basically 15 foot between the front of that chain link fence and the road. So even though we are on property line, we are not on the road, so to speak. There's room in between. So that's our concern with the right of way and it being right on the front.
Yeah, so the right of way is to the property.
Yeah, your blue lines in your picture is the right of way.
No opposition to it?
Pardon?
No opposition?
Check with the transportation. Right away.
But it wouldn't be in the right. But from the blue line on is a public right of way. It's about 15 foot. If you look at the aerial, you can see we've got some other structures, especially right next to it, that's almost the same distance. The garage, just to the west.
Okay, sir, can you give us a little brief explanation of what you'd like here?
Well, basically, when I went to area planning first, we was limited to like a 19 to 20 because of livable space compared to the property size and all the line variations on it. Now that fence, where you see the chain link fence, that's been there for 13 years. Now, I need the garage, basically you see the storage shed, which is full. I mean, we just purchased a boat and you get a full-size truck and you ain't gonna get it in a 20-foot garage. So in order to gain that extra 100 and some square foot, I need a 24 by 24, 24 by 28 would allow me to be almost 12 feet off the alley. And like he said, 15 feet off the street side. And that pretty much that square is where the chain link fence is. That's where the building would sit, but further in off the alley by at least probably 8 to 9 feet further past the torch. It would be the east. But just for storage necessities, really, I mean, 10 by 12 shed don't store a whole lot. And I have right now attached, it's a 16 by 32 deep 1-car garage. But it's for the wife. I don't have a place to park.
Been there, done that.
Okay, then, has this been recently surveyed? So we're not exactly sure where the
Right.
line is. Of course, that would be your responsibility.
Now,
I issue a rose and not on the line, you're over the line, or something like that. That would be your problem, not ours.
no, I'm not following you. What do you mean by as far as that?
Well, if for some reason that right of way was needed,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Between there and the fence, okay.
yeah, it'd be up to you to negotiate with them. We're not approving any survey land here. And we don't know exactly where that land is, neither does the staff, where that line is exactly. So any problem that you might encounter.
Now, I have got a letter of recommendation from the town board of Fairmount.
Mhm.
They gave me a recommendation letter. So I think they was on board, but yeah, I have no problem with what you're saying.
Okay, so they're on board with you making an improvement to your property?
Exactly.
Okay. That was my question. I did notice when I went by, that somebody ran into your fence.
On the corner there, yes, that was, two winters ago. Somebody got that. They came in a little hot.
Yeah. Right. That would be an unfortunate.
And then on that actual corner there, that would be setting off, and I don't know if you've noticed, you seen that big stone, the big boulder that beside my driveway?
Yeah.
That was gonna be moved to that corner before they got to my garage. So, but yeah, that's the only, that fence did get hit 2 years ago, last winter, a couple years ago.
Okay, does the board have questions?
I've got a couple here. You're telling me that you're gonna build inside that fence?
Basically, no, the fence will come down, just basically where the perimeter of the fence is showing. That space between the 6th Street and the fence, that'll be still grass, and then from that point on will be 24 wide, 24 deep. That's square.
So you're
The
gonna-
overhead door will actually be facing the driveway.
Are you gonna have fence on both sides of the garage? then?
No, actually, there will be no fence, we're gonna remove the fence altogether.
I know you're kind of landlocked. We all looked at it and went, whoa, you are landlocked.
Yeah, I'm pretty
But I see you're putting on a new deck,
Yes, that's the patio.
pretty. So, but I noticed one thing about Fairmount, I'm not picking on Fairmount, but they got tight corners. They got telephone poles right there.
They are.
They got, and if there's not a telephone pole, there's a rock. What you just said,
Yep.
that's what the problem is. They're putting rocks, and I don't think you can do that legally. You can't impede the traffic with a rock, because you know what's gonna happen. So that's what I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of rocks there. Maybe, might be adding to it.
If that-
How you get around it, you just say you're landscaping and you're allowed to put rocks out there.
Well, they did that on Garthwaite, remember that? Guy put rocks at the end of Garthwaite, and everybody was running into it, and
Yeah.
3 people got killed, and then, oh, yeah, we got to move them rocks. It happened.
We're dealing with it in a couple areas of Grant County.
I see, I know, but I'm saying, if you're gonna put a rock there, I don't
Block
like
in the right of ways, right?
it's close. Set it in the corner, it's over there. It's tight, that's why I wanted to know about.
That was just kind of my security blanket thought of the whole deal. If I put a building there, I mean, the rock can go. It's just the matter, that's what I was thinking of that scenario. I mean, the building would be another 8 to 9 feet further to the east of the fence. It'd be a lot further into the yard. And that's what I was thinking, maybe some landscaping and just try to protect it, you know, just a fail safe.
I think it's tight.
The rock would be on your property.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Well, I think you're landlocked, but I think it's gonna look nice.
Well, that's where I'm trying to, try to improve the value, property value. And the storage space is an issue for me.
I appreciate you going a step farther, going to Fairmount Council.
Yeah, we had some problems tying everything together, me and Ryan, but, because when I took the paperwork that I believe you guys gave me and, took it over there, and Ryan was signing it, and then I brought it back, and they're like, no, he wasn't supposed to sign this, he's supposed to send us a letter of recommendation, so. Ended up going through fine.
And you received that, right?
I don't think he's not on me.
No, I think I told
Yeah.
him, yeah, so, I know it's faxed over, Ryan said it.
What are the utilities?
Pardon?
The utilities. Is there a gas line that runs through there? or-
Gas line, actually, yes, it does run right through the right of way, about 6 feet off the road. That's the main gas line. They just replaced that. Pardon?
I saw the post.
Yes, yeah. So,
No opposition.
no, it's been posted.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Okay, thank you. You may stand.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other discussion on this board? Okay, do we have a motion? On this petition.
I'll make a motion that we accept it as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Brenda, would you give us a roll call?
Johnson,
Yes.
Jones, Long,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yeah.
Monroe.
Yes.
Motion passed. Hey, is there any old business? No. Ryan, do you have any update?
Yeah.
On anything upland?
Uh, I got an email from Heath. We're setting up a meeting. It's next Monday, June 14th, 2:00. Sit down with the entire Upland Idaho Plaza, as well as with Jonathan Press. They invited me over to get us all to sit down. We're going to be at the FINA conference room.
Okay,
to go.
great then.
So that's where we're at on that, and again, I'll keep you guys updated as I asked Steve to get something to me so I could present to you guys, and he got right back with me with this meeting, so.
Very good. Is there any other old business? Well, at this time would be an open public forum for anyone in the public, but I don't see anybody here. So if there is no other business, we'll consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
They're gonna get you a chair, pull it up there. Yeah, David, go on. Motion. How you been? Like, for an old man. Good to be back.